Ladies, young ladies, and gentlemen, good evening, everyone. Welcome in this new video conference dedicated to world news, top stories, international news. Paris has just signed an agreement, historical relationship with Kiev. Emmanuel Macron, who never stops at all to surprise the world, and who has no concern for the difficulties that the France has decided to sign and seal 100% military impact with Ukraine, and the announcement of this agreement described as historic by its content, historical in its form, and historical through its implementation. The announcement of the agreement created an unfavorable reaction from on Moscow's side. Russia is very much in anger and promises to make people regret this act to France. You know that France is suffering money problem, not budget problem. Even military equipment are not there, but a few who still who. As a result, France decides to send him to Ukraine, and knowing of course that this supply weapons and is considered by Moscow to be a direct affront. It's obviously a France that opens a new stage in the direct confrontation with the Federation from Russia. So, what is the content of this agreement and what might be the repercussions? Within the framework, therefore, of this video conference and this current event that we are going to talk about. But before continuing, share the maximum conference time, put in a lot with all my heart. And above all, don't forget to put your different opinions in comment. And if you are new by here, click on the subscribe button. Please subscribe. This allows you to never miss our news again. The hottest news from moment. Let's go then into the depths. That's a statement, official statement that was made by the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky. Zelensky confirmed, he said, a historic agreement had been concluded with France. He himself adds the historical qualifier, an agreement, historic. This agreement returned a historical character since this type, it never existed, never has. Summer passed between Russia, Ukraine, and France. So, what are the exact words used by Zelensky? He said this: there will be a significant reinforcement of our fighter aircraft, of our air defense, and our other defense capabilities. Therefore, a significant reinforcement of Ukrainian military aviation, significant reinforcement of Ukrainian air defense, and other defense capabilities. So Zelensky is speaking from the perspective, equipment reception, defensive military forces. However, in reality, it is now an offensive nature of the tactic which will be used by Ukraine and NATO in synergy of action with the France, which was to be in the lead of the coalition of volunteers. So, it must be said that Zelensky was to show, obviously, and that this agreement is of great importance capital. He said this. He presented this agreement as one of the most important military advances since the beginning of the war. This agreement that he has just signed is one of the most important military advances since the beginning of the war. So, in plain terms, Zelensky wants to show his opinion that Ukraine continues to gain in Western support despite the setbacks in Pokrovsk. You all know that Pokrovsk fell under Russian control. So, despite the fact that Ukraine is in the process to lose territory, but on the other hand, on the Ukrainian side, moreover, it continues to gain support. And if this support continues to be effective, it's because there is a new strategy to continue arming Ukraine to strike Russia. We saw everything at the time. How did the port of Sastophav was hit? So Zelensky is trying to do this demonstration at the level of his opinion national. So what did France promise really? In the agreement, there are promises. In the aviation plan agreement, France has promised to supply aircraft hunting and French participation to the multinational aircraft program destined for Ukraine. That is to say, it is a diagram of F-16 type aircraft and the Mirage fighter jets. You remember that France had promised Mirage 2000s to Ukraine since 2024, were never able to deliver, ever. The F-16, Ukraine has been asking for it so much. In the United States, when Joe Biden, to the era in service, delivered the F-16s, they couldn't do anything with it. Russia didn't do. It only destroys. The worst part is that one of the last F-16s self-destructed due to pilot error, Ukrainian who was inside. They themselves destroyed their own fighter jet. So, in terms of air defense, France has promised to strengthen the radars, to strengthen surface-to-air missiles, to reinforce the mobile anti-drone systems. And so, at the level of broader cooperation, France has promised support in training, maintenance, we ourselves will become poorer, and so on and so on. So with several, they offered no further argument. So how is it that suddenly, at a time when France has no budget situation, because of which we have witnessed a cascade of resignations from Prime Minister, we witnessed motions of censure and all that, how suddenly France was able to have the ways to become the pillar of European military support to Ukraine? That's the question that arises. Pause. So, and here is the content of the agreement which has been signed. We are waiting to see the Russia's reaction. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the front page of the news. I'll get back to you soon, the hour, with new information. That was the voice of your humble servant, Robert. Logistics in modernization of Ukrainian capabilities. So the France is committed with both hands and both feet, fully involved in the Ukrainian conflict on Ukraine's side to support Ukraine. That is to say, the role that Germany was playing, a role at the beginning of the conflict, it's here now, it's this now same role that France is currently play. In reality, Emmanuel Macron wants to present France as the pillar European military support to Ukraine. Yet, France has not the financial resources in this case. For the moment, these are promises. In the same way that they have promised the Mirage 2000s to Ukraine, they didn't work, and afterwards, the French authorities themselves have sitting down to say, okay, listen, these Mirage 2000s will need to be maintained. Ukraine cannot to have the means to repairs to its Mirages and so on. Then, the little reserve that the French army has, if we give